Hi there, welcome back to Inside the Third Circle. It's Spurs against Man City from the English Premier League, and we're going to take a look at Manchester City in possession. Talked about their attacking a little bit in the Manchester derby a little while back, and I said felt like there was a bit of a disconnect between the classical way that Guardiola's teams have attacked, the more positional, zonal attacking organisation, wide triangles, wide 1v1s, underlaps, and then Haaland as the central finisher, as the 9, and then what we've seen a bit more this season of central orientation. We've seen Doku, Foden, Cherki quite narrow in behind Haaland, and now we've seen, including this game, a sort of narrow 4-2-2-2 system. This was pretty interesting because in this game against Spurs, it was Haaland and Semenyo playing as strikers, essentially, kind of split strikers, but not really like split all the way wide. They were playing on the outside centre-backs of Spurs, so Haaland on Dragusin and Semenyo on Palhinha, with Romero was as a free player in the middle there, and that's the general setup you can see here. As City have a spell of settled possession, Bernardo Silva and Rodri deep, and then Cherki and Nico O'Reilly as the higher midfielders. You can see it there, and you can see I guess Guardiola's approach here was to have Haaland and Semenyo pinning those outside centre backs so they couldn't jump into those spaces between the lines, and then to try and get O'Reilly and Cherki into those spaces with Bernardo Silva, Rodri kind of baiting the press with short passes and build-up movements with the centre-backs, and then the full-backs giving the width support from there. And I think this clip shows, probably how Guardiola and Linders imagined this system, the structure would work. It's helped by Bissouma. I think Bissouma's worried about the passing line into Haaland, so he's kind of covering that and not really joining in with the press, and that leaves a big gap there. You can see in the centre that Bernardo Silva just wanders into. But there's that space because the midfield line of Spurs has jumped to press. The back line is pinned. That you can see Palhinha wants to go, but he can't go because Semenyo's there. That allows O'Reilly to get on the half turn, and then you've got these powerful forwards, Haaland, Semenyo, in 1v1 type situations against those outside centre backs with big spaces, and that's exactly what City would have wanted, right? And a dangerous moment. It also was very effective when there was more direct situations. So even from very early in the game, if Spurs jump to press, you can see there's Haaland and Semenyo against the Spurs back three. It's just inside diagonal from Nunes. Diagonal trajectory of pass against vertical jump of pressure always allows this little roll from Haaland, which he does quite nicely. And there, even though they're outnumbered, it's Haaland and Semenyo, very powerful big space players. And you can see how this unorthodox strike partnership, or unlikely strike duo, is pretty effective in those direct situations where there's space to run. Also, of course, with Haaland, there's always just the opportunity to pop one over into the space, and really good chance for Haaland. Maybe more on-form Haaland puts that away. And then another situation where Spurs go to press, it's fired up. You can see it's man for man at the back. A situation that's relatively common these days. And if you've got the goalkeeper can hit the physical target player, which Haaland can do, then you get the chance of this kind of thing happening. A little bit of luck, It's the situation where Cherki picks up as the third man, and does some nice Cherki stuff before a brilliant save denies him. So yeah, lots of positives there in terms of this this system, this structure, giving advantages in these direct open space situations. So in this 4-2-2 centrally oriented systems, the onus is on central progressions to attack, right? There's lots of players in the center, and that's where the orientation is towards, rather than having, let's say, wide wingers who are waiting on the touchline. The ball can be transferred to them, 1v1s, or link-ups in wide triangles with rotations, with underlaps, these kinds of things. And maybe it's because Doku's out, Savinho's out, the shortage of wingers for Guardiola, forcing his hand somewhat, although we did see the more centrally oriented stuff earlier in the season as well. So maybe it's also related to defensive systems just getting a bit more wise to those classical positional attacks. We see this the use of back five systems to match up against the five attackers in the five corridors, aggressive man orientation, jumping on to those players in the half spaces, and just a kind of general cottoning on to some of the more predictable patterns that have been used for the best part of a decade now in those classical positional attacks. Maybe it's something specific about Spurs too. So there's various reasons why this setup could have been used by Guardiola. And again, you can see Haaland there in the 9 spot. Semenyo's just situationally moved over here onto this right side. But as I say, the orientation is towards the middle, and the idea is to go and try and attack through central corridors like this. Here's an example. It's Nico O'Reilly. Cherki's moved in between the lines. And this is the big advantage of attacking like this, is that you really tap into the qualities of players like Cherki, these number 10s, these creative guys, because they can do very unexpected, tricky things in small spaces, very dangerous areas of the pitch, and you can go direct to goal. Romero just taking Cherki out there, just having none of it. But you can see, if there wasn't the foul, how it's really possible for Haaland just to give it back to Cherki. He's made the flick, pass and move, a shadow play action from Cherki, playing into his cover shadow, spinning, going, and chances can be created that way. Again, very different from a kind of classical wide rotations, wide triangles, wide winger 1v1s. So that's the general idea, but it didn't really happen for City in settled possession. And they actually struggled. They were dangerous, as I've said, in these more direct moments with bigger spaces. But in what has traditionally been, Guardiola's real strong suit, the settled possession phases, I thought City struggled. So it's interesting just to have a look at what was going on. In this situation, Semenyo's dropped out, approached Ait-Nouri. Ait-Nouri's gone for a pass and move 1-2. Semenyo checks out, refuses that one, no problem. Goes back. You can see Haaland, I think, is already kind of sniffed out the Palhinha's been dragged away, so he's already thinking maybe a little spin in behind. It's not really on though. But already, it's worth keeping an eye on Haaland and Cherki, just a little bit disconnected for me. In this moment, the ball is being circulated at the base. Gueye with Rodri. They're solving problems down there. Quite static. Cherki close to Haaland, maybe just fulfilling that space occupation with Haaland pinning Dragusin. Cherki maybe has been assigned to that space there. But we see a situation here. Rodri finds Silva. And Silva, you can see as the ball travels, he's actually had a look beforehand as well. Look at Bernardo Silva, there's a look. And as the ball travels to him, he's looking forward. And you can see that Silva wants to play first time left foot, just round the corner in here. But Semenyo is not clocked to this movement, right, to drop in. He's pinning his centre back, okay, but there's a chance to play here. Third man, O'Reilly, to go in. I think O'Reilly would also be ready for that one. Doesn't quite happen. So you've got a situation where Cherki's kind of out the game, Haaland's out the game, Semenyo's out the game. Cherki kind of realises now, oh, maybe I should be here so I can be passed to. And I think maybe Haaland's even telling him, I'm not sure, the arm's going out. A little bit of communication between those two guys. The ball goes to O'Reilly and Semenyo now drops, but it's a bit too late. If he dropped on the first one, it could go into him. If he drops now, it can't really go into him, and it just kind of fizzles out. So it's just an indication, early indication there of how if the guys on the top line aren't quite tuned in to the requirements in these central combination moments. Timings, coordinations, not quite there. Next situation from the first half. Bernardo Silva's actually a little higher now. Cherki's dropped deeper. We can see Haaland and Semenyo in those striker positions. I think Haaland there, he's kind of walking away, not looking at the ball. I think maybe just trying to put Dragusin to sleep a little bit. And then he sees Rodri on the ball. Haaland now that's the kind of thing he likes. He wants to go in behind. It's not really on. And I think you can see already, if you watch Rodri on the ball, I think you can see already by this touch that pass is not going to come. He's taken it with the outside of his right foot to sort of check out of going forwards. But if you watch Haaland, he still runs. Like Rodri's not playing the pass now. Still going. Like Rodri's now completely turned away. Maybe he thinks he can still do it with a disguise, but there's no backlift. And the run isn't taken advantage of. And Haaland a little bit out the game now. Okay, it's always good to threaten behind, that's for sure. To remind the defenders that there's a threat there. So Cherki deep on the ball. This, again, I like this. Is what probably was lacking the first in the previous clip. Semenyo sees that Rodri has a passing lane. So he shows. There it is. Nice. Third man O'Reilly. This is how it works. Could be first time from Semenyo. He wants to take a touch. Okay. He still manages to get it. But in this moment, this is where you want Haaland, right? Semenyo's dropped. Third man. Haaland now on the last line, running into that space. But he's out the game. Because he doesn't seem to have that. I mean, it's not surprising. I don't think they've used the system before and played together. But there's not that cohesion of a front two. And strike partnerships are actually something that we really haven't seen in Guardiola football. And there's been occasions where strikers have been used together, that's for sure. But they're not. I think it's fair to say it's not an integral aspect of what people associate with Guardiola football. I think they are going to be important in the near future in football. And this just gives a little example of how we can see if the strikers aren't working together, how the advantages are not maximised. Haaland makes that kind of lone run. And then when the actual movement from Semenyo comes, we get the third man, we get the momentum. The 9 isn't there now to make the run into depth, and it gets kind of squeezed out. This is a similar type situation. Aït-Nouri, Semenyo supports wide, takes the ball. You can see Dragusin, Palhinha has followed him all the way. But again, look at Haaland here. I find this a little odd. The play's developing on the side. Semenyo's on the ball. Again, we see Cherki and Haaland. Looks like they're almost in discussion there. And at this point, Haaland's actually jogging away from the play. like head down, moving this way. Again, I don't know if it's to try and trick Dragusin, or it just seems odd, because is he going there because that's his pinning station? There's a more predefined spot he's supposed to be in. Because Gehi's here's on the ball, and as you can see, he pops it through the lines to Silva, who gets on the half turn. And what you want now is a 9, right? Centrally, could be fired into feet, could be attacking that space in behind, 30 metres in behind. Nice space, Silva can slip those passes. But as Semenyo took Dragusin away, there was no real cohesion with Haaland for him to realise the potential of the situation. And Cherki as well, disconnected from the game. Could have been Cherki, going into depth as well. But he's kind of staying in that space there. And Bernardo Silva realises there's no forward option, there's no 9. So he tries to get it inside to Cherki, but again it fizzles out. So a strange sequence, really. Considering, it was good play by City, really. I mean, nice. Completely skewer the Spurs pressure, but they just don't have a 9. And one thing you associate with Haaland and City is that he's a 9 and he's going to be there. But in this system, I don't know. It seems like they weren't on the same wavelength. Next clip. Cherki's deep. Bernardo Silva's gone high. Haaland and Semenyo in their positions. And in this moment, we have Nunes playing inside to Cherki. And this is the kind of thing Cherki loves. You can see the scan. I think you can tell what's going to happen. But one guy who's not really anticipated it yet is Haaland. Even now that the contact is made, there's still no movement. But okay, he reacts well. It's a really good play by Cherki. Of course, has it in him to do these things. That's his speciality. Under pressure, takes the ball round the corner, pass and move from Cherki. But there's a real opportunity for Haaland just to set the ball back to Cherki here. And, sorry, you can't see because my face is in the way. Bernardo Silva's also wide. If this ball is just laid back to Cherki, a little 1-2. Just here, open the left foot. There's no real pressure. I mean, there is pressure, but it's not like a really tight, close proximity situation. There's no opposition between the two players. It's quite a big space just to put the ball into. But it's quite a big touch from Haaland. You can see a little bit of exasperation from Silva, from Cherki, and Haaland actually ends up on the halfway line when you'd imagine that they could be attacking really, really fast. And just this, again, Cherki and Haaland just don't seem to have that connection. And it's kind of summed up in moments like that, where the touch and go game just isn't reciprocated. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing, what is, but these moments, you add them all up and they start to make a difference, They take their toll. Haaland goes back to position. Wide to Nunes again. Ball into Cherki, inside pass, nice from Nunes. Again, you can see the scan from Cherki. There's one scan. There's another scan. He's checking his left shoulder. I'm not stopping it in the right place, but you can see there. He's linking with Haaland, right? He wants to link with the 9. looking to the deepest diagonal option, Cherki. He wants to link. Ball arrives, and Cherki wants to bounce passes now. He wants these 1-2s. Cherki would like a 9 to show, bounce, go, or bounce, go inside. But Haaland, and Semenyo's further away, it would be Haaland, is just not tuned to that style of play. He's already thinking to attack some space in the box, try and pin the centre-backs, this kind of thing. Cherki tries to go in to O'Reilly, blocked. Again, there's an easy ball to Silva to go wide. Classic, width attack, but Cherki doesn't go for those options. Wants to go in with a 1-2 with Nunes, but that's not there, and it ends up, a pretty poor shot from Ait Nouri. But again, in these moments, are these two connecting? There's the scan. There's the scan. Where's the approach? Where's the combination? Where's the central penetration? It's not really there. Into the second half now, the very start of the second half. Setup changed by Spurs, 4 at the back. But it didn't stop City just being able to break those first lines of pressure pretty easily. Rodri to Silva on the half turn, straight through to O'Reilly on the half turn. Really good situation. But again, strange things happen here. It's like, I don't know, I think Haaland wants to make that out to in run initially. Maybe he thinks he can receive it from O'Reilly. Like this kind of pass, splitting the centre backs. Maybe he's thinking about that because he thinks Cherki will then go into his space, because Cherki's there again, close to him. But Cherki's standing there, he wants it to his feet. He's not going in behind. Then Haaland realises and kind of has to double back. Completely off balance now, flat-footed. Cherki standing, he wants it to feet. O'Reilly doesn't really know what to do. And it breaks down. And typically you'd expect, just maybe Haaland holds his position and he's in, and O'Reilly can feed it in and he goes to shoot. But there just seems to be lack of understanding in these moments, which is costly because City have so much of the ball that they get the threat from other situations, but these are good moments to create chances, and it's not really happening at the moment. And the final clip, again, problem solved nicely at the base. Really nice one from Rodri. Cherki spins, and again, I feel like he thinks, okay, can I pop it into a 9 and let's play. Haaland's on his bike already. Cherki maybe not primed for that early one. There's the scan from Cherki. He's looking so he can see Haaland. And I get the feeling that Cherki thinks Haaland's going to play with him. There's another look. As the ball's travelling, Cherki takes the information, sees Haaland facing, and I get the feeling that as Cherki turns, he expects Haaland to be here, to go bang, and then a little bit of a give and go. Haaland, no, and it's not about them being right or wrong. It's about them not being on the same wavelength. Haaland wants it to depth. Cherki doesn't give. Gets a little bit snagged. Look at the reaction from Haaland. Head on the hands. Can't believe it. And yeah, I think it seems evident, right, that there's this disconnect, not necessarily just between Cherki and Haaland, but with City. How are they attacking? Are they fully cohesive in these central combinations, or is it a team more suited to wide wingers, positional attack, kind of being shoehorned into central structures and ideas that the real key players like Haaland just isn't suited to? It's a bit of an imbalance, and I think it's a problem for City. So we'll keep an eye on how it develops.